What's up, everybody? Welcome. Time for a little bit of Orange Bloods live at the top of the noon hour on your Monday. Texas football practice has started, and I am flying solo. We're changing things up a little bit here. Chad and I will be doing a show later on today, but for right now, like, comment, subscribe to the page. You're getting a whole dose of me. This will be kind of on the regular now in this time slot. Deal with it, or like maybe love it. I don't know. It doesn't have to be terrible. Texas football started today. Let's just dive right into it. We had the first practice. Steve Sarkisian has given an update. In fact, Sark practice. Let's just get a little bit of news and notes out of the way. Sark, in talking about Arch Manning, they're going to take their time with him. They're not going to rush him. We've talked about this over the course of the last couple of weeks. It will be KJ Lacey's show, by and large, for the most part, early in spring workouts. Diabell, everybody at that position gets bumped up a notch. It was a practice where Arch Manning, Ryan Wingo, Emmett Mosley, Trevor Gooseby, all out, all missing with injuries. And so, believe me, we'll get into some of the names and news and notes and guys that have moved positions, and it's teased. Shocking development, I promise you. I've got a little bit of a rant built up inside of me. Something happened today, and look, I don't know if this is going to count as the first big overreaction. Maybe I should have done this on a Monday overreaction show. Missed it by that much. Real quick, the rest of Sark. No update on Lawrence Seymour, for those wondering, not at practice because he's not at Texas this semester. I think I saw him in Miami last week. He seems to be living the good life. No news on his appeal in the event that you were wondering. Sark said nothing really new there. Beyond that, like Sark raved about Cam Coleman. Sark raved about a number of his players that, Tyler Atkinson's name came up. So not a ton of major news today coming out of Sark, other than to say, don't be surprised that Arch isn't practicing in full. They'll bring him back when they bring him back. I think we're talking post-spring break, which is still a couple of weeks away. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens. I think it is also not insignificant that Sark raved both about his wide receiver unit as a whole, said it's the best wide receiver group that he thinks he's had at Texas since he's been here. Really interesting to hear him rave about Cam Coleman and say that it helps when your best players are your best practice players. They've only had Cam Coleman for one practice, and obviously they have had all-season workouts, but he loves him some Cam Coleman, and why wouldn't you? So, if you haven't seen the videos of Cam, you can go over to orangebloods.com. You can go over to the Orange Bloods Twitter page, X, whatever we call it these days. You can see him in the flesh, walking next to Arch, catching some passes. It was kind of Cam Coleman Day. Everybody's celebrating their brand new toy. I thought, look, okay, so can I get my rant out of the way? Can I get the thing that I just kind of find shocking? It's so shocking. There's a part of me that just wants to stare at the camera and just... So let me set the stage for you. When we talk about the Texas offensive line and the issues and the concerns, and there's like multiple sides of this coin, because on one hand, I absolutely believe that this year's starting lineup in 2026 will be better than 2025. That's a win, right? I mean, we can go position by position. Other than left guard, I think Melvin Siani is a better version of what Brandon Baker was a year ago. I think Brandon Baker this year is a better version of what DJ Campbell was a year ago, considering I thought Brandon Baker was the second best offensive lineman that Texas had behind Trevor Gooseby instead of DJ Campbell. So that should be an upgrade. Connor Robertson should be an upgrade of what he was a year ago. He's older, he's more experienced, like all of those things. And we think Trevor Gooseby going into year 2 as a starter will be better than year 1, injuries and all, right? So that's 4 guys. My question has been, what if Lawrence Seymour doesn't get in? What if there's an injury? You've got a house of cards, and boy, it's pretty, but what if you pull a card out? That is my job, is to worry about these things so that you guys don't have to. And I did it all last offseason. Talked about some of these things and what my concerns were, and they didn't do enough in the portal. And by enough in the portal, they didn't do anything in the portal. So the elephant in the room with the first day of practice today was that Trevor Goosby wasn't going to be there. And we know that Lawrence Seymour wasn't going to be there. And Goosby was there, but he's limited. So your projected entire left side of that offensive line is out, either through injury or not on campus, pending NCAA appeal. And if he wins his appeal, it's not like he can suddenly participate in spring workouts. We will see him in the summer, presumably. So, I'm just telling you, the only thing I cared about today, really, what's the offensive line look like? What is everything? Who's at left tackle? Who's at left guard? What do the backups look like? And I got to be honest, when I saw the answer. So, real quick, sidebar. And by the way, I'm keeping an eye. I don't see anything. Sailor Joe, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. The Rocky Cummings kid is a true freshman. He does look great, but I guess at the end of the day, all you're saying is that he looks great. That could mean a variety of things. Earlier today, I said that I pegged someone, and then I realized that could mean multiple things. So, in the spirit of, you might just mean he looks handsome. Cool. Feel like he looks great because he's in his first practice in shorts and t-shirts and helmet. Let's slow down. Let's just do that, please. Let's slow down. But in the event that Sailor Joe just thinks that Rocky Cummings is handsome, he's a good-looking young man. There's just no doubt about that. I get it. I get it. Last year, when Texas was going through its offensive line, and let's go back to the summer. In the summer, it was my contention that it was very possible that one of the 5 best offensive linemen that Texas had last year was third-year sophomore offensive tackle Jaden Chapman. If you've watched this show at all in the last 12 months-ish, you'll know I own stock in Jaden Chapman. That young man might as well be my kinfolk, okay? Or something else. I don't know. Sailor Joe's got me all spooked now. I looked at last year's offensive line and I wondered, is this a situation where he's one of the 5 best offensive linemen, but because he's the primary backup at left tackle, they don't want to move him? Because if you had anything go wrong at left tackle, you do want stability in your backup options there. But all year long, in the summer, before there were any issues, before there were any injuries, I was like, should he be at guard? Because if you got to get your 5 best on the field, isn't that what they always say? Got to get your 5 best offensive linemen on the field. Doesn't matter where you line them up. Okay, I subscribe. So I wondered, is he one of the 5 best offensive linemen? And then they kept him at tackle. And then Cole Hudson got hurt. And then the Nick Brooks thing happened. And the whole time they were throwing Nick Brooks out on the field, I was asking myself, why won't they move Jaden Chapman, who's in his 3rd year last year? He's 4th year now. Why wouldn't they move him from left tackle as a backup? Why wouldn't you run him at left guard? And it just never happened. And I talked about it all year. I never quite understood it. Because at best, you had Cole Hudson. At worst, you had Nick Brooks. And it felt like the best backup on the team. And you guys have been watching the show. Well, I'll keep telling you, quit talking about Andre Kojo. He's not even better than Jaden Chapman. So there have been conversation that we might see Jaden Chapman at left guard today. And my response to that, before today, I wrote about it in my 10 thoughts from the weekend. If Jaden Chapman is left guard today, why in God's green earth could he not have been left tackle at some point last season? I don't know. while I might have lost my mind about this and I'm losing it right now, just because it's this principle of it all. It's the principle of it all. Why would it appear that I'm smarter than the decision makers? Because the move that I said should have been made 9 months ago was made today. Jaden Chapman, you're starting left guard as of today. So what does that tell you? Well, it probably tells you two things. One, they think Jaden Chapman is one of their 5 best offensive linemen. Thus, get him in there at left guard. We might need him there this year. The other thing is, who is at left tackle? This is really, really, really important. As it turns out, redshirt freshman Jordan Coleman was your starting left tackle today. So if you're wondering from left to right, Jordan Coleman, left tackle. Jaden Chapman, left guard. Center, Connor Robertson. Right guard, Brandon Baker. We saw that one coming. Right guard, Melvin Siani. By the way, Melvin Siani apparently looks like $1 million, which is a good thing because right now he's got to be the best offensive lineman on the team. So that's your starting group. Why is that all really important? Well, it feels like to me that what the coaches are telling us is that Jaden Chapman is their 4th best player and that Jordan Coleman right now is their 5th best player with no Seymour and no Trevor Gooseby. They're telling us by what they're doing with the lineup that Jordan Coleman and Chapman are really the 2 guys that we need to be watching on the offensive line. If help's going to come, probably going to come from those 2 guys. Now, the backup second-team offensive line is wild. Left tackle is Texas A&M transfer Jonte Newman. I, in my entire life, having seen Jonte Newman play football now for like 4 or 5 years, maybe 3 or 4, never once crossed my mind left tackle. At A&M last year, he was an interior player. He was a guard and not very good. And now he's at left tackle. Okay. But with far less weight than I expected on him. So who knows? Maybe he's completely reinvented his body. Dylan Sikorsky's at left guard. 344 pounds of Dylan Sikorsky. What? Okay, Dylan. Dylan ate somebody on the way. He ate a kid, a bowling ball. 344. Okay. Well, he's at left guard. Your center is Jackson Christian. By the way, Sark, because Sark was trolling me, Sark was like, oh, it won't just be Connor Robertson and Jackson Christian getting some reps at center in the spring. Jaden Chapman also getting some reps at center in the spring. Just they're trolling me. It is not April 1st, and I feel like this is one of the biggest April Fool's Day pranks I've ever had played on me. Okay, look, after today, I won't bring it up anymore, but are you kidding me? Your right guard is Devin Coleman, and your right tackle, now they list him at 6'4", 284. He's like 6'3 plus. He's not 6'4. John, unless he's growing, which could happen, John Turntine. John Turntine's the best guy on that group. He's just a baby. He's a true freshman. So the expectations for a 284 true freshman tackle should be minimal. We should not be asking ourselves today, John Turntine going to get on the field. Let's let him go sit at 350 in the oven for an hour. Let him bake. Let him develop. No Andre Kojo because, big guys. I think he's 348 on the roster. I need to go back and look. He's still coming off of a major knee injury. And as I've been saying for weeks, while even Sarkisian was like, we think Andre Kojo's got a chance to be an answer. It's like, why would you think that? Can we let him get well first before we start elevating the expectations for a guy that we didn't have high expectations for a year ago? What are we doing? So the offensive line is fascinating. Overall, I'm actually pleased with the move of Jaden Chapman to left guard. I know it may seem like I'm focused on the fact that I called for that last September and then last August and then last July, and it just never happened. But now he's playing center and guard, so we are really doing this. But I think when we talk about the offensive line for the next month into May and June and July, this will be a topic whenever we get the answer from Lawrence Seymour about whether or not he's going to be eligible or not, and whether or not it goes to a lawsuit. And is there an injunction? And does he play this year on an injunction? Like, won't this be fun to be in the middle of one of these sagas when it's all said and done? We haven't done this yet. But I feel like one of the things that it's hard for me, as dripping, sopping, soaking wet as this team is with talent. And just to be clear, I think they're loaded at running back. I think they're loaded at wide receiver. I think they're loaded at defensive tackle. I think they're loaded with young talent and Colin Simmons at edge defensive end. I think they're loaded in the secondary. They're loaded. It's a loaded team. But my job is to kind of like focus on concerns and worries. And oh, by the way, the bar is a national title. So the margins for is somewhat small. So forgive me. I'm noticing the offensive line today. I love the move of Jaden Chapman to left guard because, like I thought a year ago, he might very quietly be one of the 5 best offensive linemen in the program. But he's behind Trevor Goosby. They got to get that guy on the field if he's one of the 5 best. This move is, I think, them waking up to that reality. At some point, I would love to hear Sarkisian or Kyle Flood address, he is the offensive coordinator, co-OC. I'd love to see him explain like what happened. But it probably won't happen. It is what it is. But really interesting things there on the offensive line. And interesting that Turntine's at tackle. Interesting that their backup tackles right now are John Turntine and Jonte Newman. Okay. Now, really, from a functionality standpoint, if Goosby wasn't going to play tomorrow, I think Jaden Chapman moves from left guard back out to left tackle. I don't believe Jordan Coleman is ready, but when I look at the rest of his backup offensive linemen, I don't think Sikorsky is ready. I think Christian is ready. He's definitely not ready. Devin Coleman's not ready. Turntine's not ready. It really does put a lot of pressure on Jaden Chapman to be good. They need him to be good. And to see him with the first team at left guard today, it would have been easy to keep him at left tackle, and I don't think it tells us anything. That they've made the move to left guard tells us they're trying to get that dude on the field. They're not. If they wanted Jordan Coleman to be on the field because they thought that guy might need to be a starter for us, then you keep Chapman at left tackle and you move Coleman to left guard because you're thinking to yourself, he's going to be one of our 5 best. We need to go ahead and start getting him ready for that. So I think unofficially, if you put Goosby and Seymour back into the lineup, your number 6 guy and your first off the bench is Jaden Chapman, I do not think that's a bad development. It's time. It's time. It's his 4th year. This is when guys start playing at Indiana. They start playing now when they're in their 20s, and that's what he is. He is almost a man. He can't get insurance yet for his car, but he's almost a man. He's not quite 40. And then I think your 7th guy is Devin Coleman. That's the pecking order. If you're talking about who do I need to watch for the next 4 or 5 weeks until the spring game, those are the 2 guys. I don't think you need to mess with anybody else. I think that second team offensive line, I hope they're not asked to block the first team offensive line a lot in practice. I'm just saying. But that's okay. I don't think you're ever going to be more than 7 deep on the offensive line. To be 7 deep, Texas will need Seymour to become eligible, everybody to stay healthy, and then Chapman and Coleman, the Devin variety, not the Devin variety, the Jordan variety. Oh, twins are gonna. I have twins, but one's a boy and one's a girl, so I never get them confused. Really, I'm gonna do that with the Coleman twins, left and right, especially since in reality they're both backups on the backup offensive line. How am I supposed to not say Devin is Jordan and Jordan is Devin throughout the year? I'm looking over at the chat. just to see. See, Rodolfo's like, give you guys a call in. Here's the thing, Rodolfo. And see, you're young, so you wouldn't know this. Up from 2008, 2007, I'm trying to remember. I guess it would have been really 2008 was when Chad and I first started hosting a show on radio. And then I started doing solo shows in 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, nationally syndicated radio show host. I know. Go figure. And I hate callers. I do. I always find that callers on talk radio, laziness. Now, if you've got good callers, right? Back in the day, Jim Rome would scream. He had characters more than he had callers. And you couldn't just get through because you wanted to talk on the air. You had to kind of build yourself up. And I always kind of appreciated that. I don't know that Jim Rome was great at what he did outside of what he did with an audience, which was phenomenal. And there's a reason why he was Jim Rome, right? I don't know that when I listened to him talk sports, I was like, oh, I stopped. We all did, I think. But I just never took a lot of calls because you guys just are distracting. It's why I like to look into the chats and pick the things that I like, and then I ignore everything that I don't like. By the way, man, what? Anwar is not out here, Rodolfo, trying to win an Emmy with his iPhone. But I feel you. You can go to Money B. You can go to Orange Bloods, or you can go to, I believe, Anwar's Twitter page, that video. And yeah. Oh, Paxton. And the thing is, you get a caller up, right? Because I did this when I first started doing radio. You're like, got to have callers. And oh my God, it was really bad with a nationally syndicated show. Because it'd be like, hey, Jim from Albany, New York is on the line. And whatever the hell, like, imagine I'm doing the show right now. And you're like, oh, I got a caller from Albany. Let me take the call. And you're like, Jim from Albany, what's shaking, my man? You're like, yeah, no, I just wanted to talk about the Buffalo Sabres for a second. So I don't take calls. Never did, never will. And Rodolfo, man, that's not nice. It's not. I feel like, you're 24 now, so you're not young either, you old ass dude. You're going to be old. You can almost get car insurance and then it's done. Just so you know, enjoy 24 because 25 is coming. Overall, I think today set the stage really well for the spring. The whole spring. What did we see? I think we know at quarterback. And I got to be honest, I was kind of digging I wondered how the order of the quarter. Think about Diabell. And my thing with Diabell is he didn't play a lot last year. And he's a guy that I rated as a 5-star. I'm a huge fan. But what does it mean right now for Diabell? Is he scout team? Because Arch is out for now, everybody gets to move up a peg, right? So, or a notch, or I feel like I've been terrible with metaphors today. I keep saying the word peg. I don't know what that's about. In fact, because I've completely distracted myself now, let's let Lisa take over for like 15 seconds while I regroup.
Shop Specs! It's how we do. A huge selection since 62. Shop Specs! Low priced, amazing. Here's to you. Cheers to savings.
Specs. Cheers to savings.
Cheers to savings. So everybody in the quarterback room moves up a spot. KJ's with the ones. Who's working with the twos? I thought, well, if we get to like weeks 2 or 3, you'd like to see Diabell really, as long as Arch is not out there, Diabell getting as many good reps as he can with as many good players as he can. Because look, I just read to you the backup offensive line. Y'all don't want to know what the scout team offensive line looks like. So for the rest of this week, I think that's kind of what it's going to look like. I think everybody should be cool with Arch taking the first week off. We'll see what it looks like in week 2 when they come back from spring break. But I think these guys getting the reps that they're getting, I think it's really good. I think everybody needs to temper whatever the hell they're hoping to hear about what's happened in the spring. It is pretty impossible to ignore the fact that the offensive line is kind of unsettled. Is that fair? That there's no starting quarterback, there's no starting left tackle, there's no starting all SEC wide receiver. Ryan Wingo was that last year, believe it or not. Cam Coleman was not. Ryan Wingo did that. And then no Emmett Mosley. So it's a big, and there's no like real guarantee on when any of those guys will be back at full strength, full speed. So it is a Texas, it's a Texas offense that every year we know that the defense is ahead of the offense. Anwar made a point yesterday on Orange Bloods where he's like, and I'll never forget, there was a, I think the kid's name was Odell Parks. Way back in the 90s, the Cowboys had signed this JUCO linebacker in the supplemental draft. And I'm covering this at Cowboys training camp. Man, you get to like the second week of Cowboys training camp and you just start running out of creative ideas. So you had this linebacker that looked like $1 million. He was making plays. I'm watching practice. This guy looks fantastic. He became a real buzzy name. So we went and interviewed Dave Campo about Odell Parks. And we're like, tell us about Odell. Because we're trying to do a story. Okay, Dave? There's no reason to kill the story. And Dave was like, well, we'll see what it looks like when he starts practicing against people where he doesn't know what the plays are in advance. I was like, God damn, Dave. Could you say something nice? He didn't. And the kid didn't make the team. So to be fair, Dave Campo was doing all of us a favor. But every year, we do need to realize that these defensive players do get to watch the offense all the time. Sometimes they know the coaches will call a play out, run it again. And so yeah, just always remember that. The defense has some advantages in these matchups, but right now there's a real distinct advantage. We're not going to hear anything about the running game. Not for a few days, probably not until after spring break. What the hell could you say about the running backs now? They look good in shorts and a t-shirt and a helmet. Okay, right? So that is what that is. I think at wide receiver, the thing that you want to hear is just Cam Coleman looks healthy and badass. Boom. Then it's kind of like what else happens at that position where, again, like the quarterback position, all the wide receivers get to elevate. Everybody that's a 2, other than the guy running directly behind Cam Coleman, gets to run with the 1s. All the 3s get to run with the 2s. It's a platform for all of those guys to make some early noise. Let's go to spring break, and one of those freshman wide receivers is a guy that the coaches are like, we might need to see more of him right away instead of not. And it's funny. I was watching Jermaine Bishop today. It's so funny to watch these guys come out of the high school and join a college program for just a few months. Like, the off-season workouts in January and February. It's not like the off-season or all of the work that they do happens over the course of a year. Now it does. They do work out year round, but like an off-season program, they'll be done with spring workouts and then they'll be off for the most part. So you have to squeeze a lot into the first 6-7 weeks of 2026 before you go to spring ball, and you're still lifting every day or doing weights and training and stuff, but it's not the same as the off season because you're practicing. And then you go into finals, and then you go away for a couple of weeks, and you come back in June, and then you kind of start it up. That's just kind of the schedule. Man, I was looking at a video of Jermaine Bishop today playing wide receiver. I can't remember. It might have been Bob Ballou's Twitter page. He looked fantastic. He did. And all the way through just a few months ago in December, you would look at Jermaine Bishop and you'd be like, man, that dude is skinny. He's like Xavier Worthy skinny. He's put on some good weight. He looks good. I saw him run an air. I saw him run a route with a position like his position. It might have been Blake Gideon. I don't know. It was somebody was holding the pad. So it wasn't even like he was running a route against a player. But a little bit I saw of him, I just noticed, okay, physically you look good. And I think he's one of these guys that early on in camp, because of the injury situation, it's not a crisis. A crisis would be all these dudes are not going to be here in September. But like Arch will be back at some point in camp, and all of these guys are just, Gooseby will be here. All that matters is here in August, right? All of these things allow these guys that aren't ready to be forced in the positions where they have to be ready, or else they'll get their asses kicked. And sometimes that happens. I think that's the other thing that we just have to be prepared for, that this will be a spring where there's so much unsettled stuff going on the offensive side of the ball, which is problematic, but no reason to freak out. But I would expect the defense to get rave reviews. I expect to hear that the defensive line is getting the better of the offensive line. And we are probably still a few weeks away from that really mattering, because Texas is going to practice for a little bit, go on vacation for spring break, and then come back right after spring break and do the rest of spring workouts all the way through the spring game. By the way, Sark was asked today about the spring game. He's like, last year I didn't want to do it. This year I decided I did. Ask me in 3 weeks, might change my mind. Again, I'm kind of convinced that Sark woke up today, just decided I'm trolling everybody. Ask me in 3 weeks if we're still going to have the spring game. That's funny. We all know you guys booked Mumford and Sons or whatever the hell it was. No, wait, that wasn't for the spring game. That's for a charity event? Was it even Mumford and Sons? Who's that Okie group? No offense, Okies. Oklahoma group. I think it might be right. Whoever it was, it's just funny that Texas is having this big event and they've got OU fans coming to do the song and the performances. It's just weird. But nevertheless, I digress. As far as like the rest of today, and I'll take some questions, and you guys want to do any super chats, you absolutely can. Buck Wild, dude, no, you don't. Because the thing is, y'all have seen my wife. If I tell her, hey, honey, come here for a second, she does not want to leave. There's never been a woman that wants to do YouTube more than me, more than her. This is my third YouTube show of the day. Oh, man, if I let her in for 2 minutes, she's going to stay for 2 hours. So, no, I'm not. I mean, you can ask me the questions. I'll pass them on, and I'll give you the real answers. But you're going to ask about the whole peg thing, aren't you? I lost it when I said climb a peg. What the hell was that? Rodolfo is volunteering to play scout team offensive line. I think that is really good for you. Sailor Joe, you guys are just talking it up in the Specs chat today. Will be a great bridge quarterback until we get Dia in place. The question is, when is that going to be? I'm really fascinated to see where KJ Lacey is in this world where Dia Bell is behind him. How good is Dia Bell? Is it going to become obvious? Look, we knew like Arch will pass Trey Owens. That'll happen. Or Arch, I guess whenever Arch came in, you start thinking about what the bridge quarterbacks were. It's like, okay, well, that won't be an issue. It does feel like KJ Lacey's a guy that's going to be a starting quarterback for somebody. Somebody somewhere, that guy I think is going to be a good college player. But he's going to be better than Dia Bell. And how long, if you're Dia Bell, because I don't think everybody's wired like Arch Manning in his family, are you going to be like, yeah, it's cool. Let's keep me a backup. I don't care. They do care. So that storyline is really interesting to watch. My assumption is that KJ Lacey is going to pull ahead early in the spring with all these reps with the ones. But if Dia Bell is working with the twos, that's a little more nipping on the heels than I would even expect. Even though we think that MJ Morris is just a placeholder, he's just an insurance policy so that Dia Bell is never asked to give up his red shirt. But if he doesn't have to or he doesn't want to, but right now definitely doesn't have to, definitely doesn't want to. And the season would really be going haywire if it comes to that. So let's just park that. But yeah, the quarterback thing behind Arch Manning is as interesting. When Arch is healthy, I think we know what the headlines will look like. Arch looks good. Threw it to Cam Coleman. He's good. Yeah, man, they're throwing a ball to Ryan Wingo. He's running with it and not being asked to do a lot of complicated wide receiver things. Yeah. Emmett Mosley working it out. Like, I just think we know what it looks and sounds like. It's all these other guys that really make, I think, the next few weeks really, really interesting. Before I go any further, I do want to let everybody know, title sponsor of the show, Hijack Poker, Texas Card House in Austin. Actually, if it's Hijack Poker anywhere inside the state of Texas, scan that QR code and go play cash money right now. It's kind of as simple as that. Go get in the game. The noon tournament taking place right now. I've cashed out on that tournament numerous times. The 9 a.m. free roll every single day. Download the tournament, play with real people, real cards like the old days, and you can do it right here, but it has to be inside the state of Texas. If you are on your phone playing poker and you cross over into the state of Oklahoma, I'm not even kidding you. As soon as you cross the state lines, it's like the game goes like that. You cannot trick the game. But go play some cards or go to any of the 6 locations here in the state of Texas for Hijack Poker. Well, for Texas Card House, I guess. Sometimes when you're saying both, it's like the Coleman twins. But yeah, man, you can go play Austin, Dallas, Las Colinas, Rio Grande Valley, Houston, Spring. I got one right down the street. No, I did not play Friday night. Let me tell you what happened. I got old. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were kind of hard for me work-wise. And so when Friday night rolled around, I was no good. I was like, because the thing is, I've essentially finished first in the Friday night tournament. Like I did a 5-way break once, but I was like in second place at the time. I was convinced I was going to win, but everybody wanted to cash out. But that doesn't happen until like 3 o'clock in the morning if you're playing one of these Friday night tournaments over at the card house. So you have to like tell yourself, am I ready to be awake at 3 o'clock in the morning? And what I realized pretty early Friday evening was that I was not ready to be awake at 8 o'clock by 6 o'clock. And that just was like, that's a waste of money. It's a waste of money. I could have gone and played hijack poker because I wouldn't have needed to be there for like 9 hours. But yeah, in the end, I hope nobody showed up looking for me, but I just punked out. I just did. It happens. Going back to the chat as I look and see anything else. Lots of calls for Heather. Johnny Manning says MJ Morris is just a season ticket holder, has to show up to practice. Joshy, dude, that is what a life. That guy had lost his job as the starting quarterback at Coastal Carolina, and there's no guarantee that he was going to be on a roster right now. 90% of the guys that entered the portal, or 80%, I don't even remember what the number is. It's a big number. Most of them aren't on rosters. That guy fell forward. He lost his job at Coastal Carolina, went into the portal, and ended up at the University of Texas? That's winning is what that is. Just like Matthew Caldwell a year ago. That's like winning a lottery ticket. Really. You guys ever see Brewster's Millions with Richard Pryor? And Richard Pryor shows up and they're like, hey, man, you're the only living descending relative of some old white dude that you've never met before. And Richard Pryor was like, really? And they're like, yeah. And he was worth like $1 billion and he's leaving it all to you. And it gets a little complicated. He had to do some stuff to get the full allotment of money. And it's a great 80s movie with John Candy in it. You should check it out. But just like that, sometimes you just show up in life and it's like, no, man, you had a great uncle who's worth $1 billion and he has no family. He's leaving it all to you. That's what happened to MJ Morris. Brewster, the plot of Brewster's Millions. Because there's a world out there where right now he's waiting by the phone hoping to be on somebody's roster this year. And instead he's a quarterback at the University of Texas. That's one of those where you're like, I just hope MJ Morris doesn't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband or a wife. Whatever it is, he needs to be single. If you were ever going to be single a day in your life, you should be single in Austin, Texas. The 1 year you are a scholarship quarterback at the University of Texas. Oh, that's winning the lottery twice is what that is. Just, you know, he is. Rodolfo MJ Morris is living. Yes, he is. We should all aspire for that shit. For really. Hey, man, how's your weekend going? I hadn't had any of that MJ Morris stuff happen to me yet, but I'm keeping hope alive. Good for MJ Morris. I hope he gets a little NIL money on the side too, because why not? No. Not only am I at the University of Texas, one of the most prestigious public universities in the world, but they're paying me, because I guarantee you that dude wasn't making no money at Coastal Carolina. Just another fragrance viewer. Okay. Brute in the chat today. It's a shout out for those of you who even remember Brute as a thing. Brewster's Millions is one of Rich's best movies. Should I do a Richard Pryor top 10? And where is the toy? That feels like Revenge of the Nerds, one of those 80s movies that we kind of look back on and go, that was kind of funny. Remember Richard Pryor? It was the kid. And it's like, you remember when he was that kid's slave? That Richard Pryor movie? It is super problematic. Even if I think they meant good intentions. I just don't know that movie ages well at all, which is why I don't think we see it anymore. The toy, let me see this. This will be the test. Let me go to Letterboxd right now. And I've already forgotten how. Because we had the Richard Pryor. All right, so here's what I'm going to look up. I'm looking up the toy on Letterboxd. Directed by Richard Donner. For those of you that don't know, Jackie Gleason's in it. Ned Beatty is in it. This was a big deal. I can't remember the name of the blonde that's in it, but we see a lot of her. You know what? You can still watch the toy basically on every streaming service. I did not know that. Okay. Now, because if I type in Revenge of the Nerds, hold on, do the same thing, and I'll look for a streaming service for Revenge of the Nerds. 1984 classic. There's no place to stream that. So whatever we think of the toy and all of those complications, you can still find that on streaming. You can't get Revenge of the Nerds. You can get Revenge of the Nerds 2, but you can't get Revenge of the Nerds 1. And I think that means I can still put the toy on a top 10 list and not be a complete, I don't know, man. Oh, I know. Look, the toy hasn't been. Look, you can still get the toy. I don't even know if that's what Chino's talking about, but I think that's what we're talking about. Stir Crazy is the first movie I think I saw in a movie theater as a kid. My mom had this propensity to just take me to rated R movies. I saw Stir Crazy at the age of 5 at a movie theater in Waco. That's right. We bad. I still remember. You remember your first movie. It was either that or the Song of the South, that Disney movie that, speaking of movies that are banned from the 80s, and that one is deservedly banned. Don't think to yourself with the Song of the South, like, what was wrong with that? Zippity-doo-dah, No. It's bad. 20-something years ago, when I think eBay had just started, I was like, why can't I buy the Song of the South anywhere? I loved that when I was 5 years old. You could get it on eBay like in other countries. So I ordered on eBay. I think it was eBay. Wherever the hell we were shopping on the internet back in the 2000s, 2003, 2004. And I got my hands on a Japanese version of the Song of the South. First time I had seen it since I was like 5 years old. My my best friend and his biracial son, who was like 3 years old, come over to my house and we're like, Song of the South, let's do this. I have never, this was 20 years ago. I am way more woke and way more sensitive and way more like open to like than I was 20 plus years ago. Not that I was like closed-minded or anything, but I'm way woker in 2026 than I would have been in 2024 or 2004. Maybe less militant, but definitely more woke, right? And y'all didn't want to know me when I was 28, man. I mean, some of y'all did, but most of y'all wouldn't. I'm probably a little too much for you guys back in 2004. Which is why I probably wasn't doing radio and YouTube or anything else. But we watched that movie, man. I feel like if I go to hell, or I'm at the pearly gates, I feel like the time that I showed my friend's son, Nicholas, Song of the South when he was 3, and the kid didn't get any of it. It was okay. Like, I don't think that movie is haunting him all these years later because he's a grown man now. Never watched it again. I'm good. I saw it one time on my Japanese DVD copy. Huh. Oh my God. What were they doing in the 80s? We were letting kids go see this. Oh, it's okay. It's all in good fun. It was not. It was not. And, Revenge of the Nerds, not available on streaming. Yeah. Sailor Joe says, I know it's day one, but Cooper over Terry. Are we miscalculating our athletic players? What does he need to do to stay relevant? Any predictions? Dude, do you know they're paying Derek Cooper basically like $1 million? Do you know that? Do you know what they were paying Michael Terry? Not $1 million. Now, I know Michael Terry was a big prospect, but he came on a bit of a discount, all things considered. I mean, it wasn't yet in this era where Texas Tech was out here wilding, and I'm not mad at Tech for that, but let's just call it what it is. Derek Cooper was always going to run. They didn't want to put Michael Terry on the field last year. And look, that is much to my chagrin. I wanted to see more Michael Terry the same way I wanted to see more Jaden Chapman. But it's absolutely no shock that Cooper is running in front of Terry. 6'3", 227 today in the roster. Man, I don't know what's going to happen with Michael Terry. My guess is he's in the transfer portal next January. Running back is stacked. He's going to need injuries in all likelihood to be able to get on the field at running back. I always thought linebacker was his best position at this next level. Will we see them do that one last ditch effort? I'd do it. I'd do it because they told us last year they don't want to play him at running back. What does he need to do to stay relevant? He probably needs some dudes to get hurt. And do I have any predictions? Transfer, January. I don't like it. But this is the thing. This thing you're always going to get with me. And I promise, I understand that sometimes I'm too real. But why are we going to talk? Why would we talk about this subject and not be real about it? Michael Terry, here's the thing that Michael Terry has to do. Got to beat out James Simon. Because the pecking order at running back right now, and this is talent, seniority, combination of these things, and a whole hell of a lot of money. Raleek Brown, Hollywood Smothers, Derek Cooper. Ain't none of those dudes coming here via Groupon. These are not coupon players. These dudes cost money. Remember, they paid Derek Cooper so much money that Miami, as bad as Miami wanted Derek Cooper, and they wanted him bad. Oh, Miami was like, come visit us, Derek Cooper. Come visit. Come hang out. Come see the U. Come see the girls. Come hang out on campus. South Beach. All of it. You know what they're hoping for? That Derek Cooper would love South Beach and Miami so much that he would go to them and say, I'll just take what you guys are offering me. I want to go here so bad. What they wouldn't do is match what Texas offered. It is one of the more surreal things in college football recruiting these days is when Texas just decides they want a player. And then they whip out the big wallet and throw it on the table. And it really is like Jules in Pulp Fiction. It's like, which of y'all's wallets is y'all's? There's the one that says bad motherfucker on it. And then you pull it out and say, oh, it doesn't even say bad MF. It literally says bad. And Texas did that with Derek Cooper. They were so convinced because they could have never known, well, we'll get Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown next year in the portal. It'll be cool. They didn't know that. So they went and spent a ton of money on Cooper. I would venture to say that he's getting 2-3 times as much money right now as Michael Terry, which means they are 2 or 3 times more incentivized to make sure his ass gets on the field. And he might be better than Michael Terry. Like, he probably is, because I don't know that running back is Michael Terry's best position. That is the rub with Michael Terry. He's a tweener all over the field, except on defense. But, you know, it's not like they're over. That's the other thing. They could use Michael Terry at linebacker right now because they do not have an abundance of those. So, dark horse prediction for Michael Terry. They flip his ass over to defense at some point. You got to give it a shot. I just don't. I don't know, man. And Sailor Joe, I am a Michael Terry advocate. I was an original stock. Like, I bought my stock in the kid, but I sold it all. Why? Because even in the bowl game, they were like, oh, he's starting to show some stuff. He's a little bit better. We're seeing flashes. They didn't let him play, man. They are running backs missing everywhere. Christian Clark left. And they were like, well, let's just give Christian Clark all the snaps. Yeah, Michael Terry will be back, but we don't want to see him play. So, man, I don't know. To me, the story is this camp, though, is there's a bunch of dudes like Michael Terry everywhere. Real quick, last thing we'll talk about today. By the way, waves drop. Ryan Niblett is the only player on the team with a slash on the roster. Not even Brad Spence is edge / linebacker. Ryan Niblett is running back / wide receiver, which is a hell of a way to say we don't really think he has a position. But he can kick return the hell out of the ball, and that is okay. Who are the Michael Terrys at the other positions? I think at wide receiver, it's probably all the second-year guys, just like Michael Terry, right? So Khalil Lockett, if it didn't come on for him now or very soon, he'll be gone in January. Dalen McCutcheon, same thing. Dude, they lost dudes who were starters last year. You think they're going to keep some dudes around? At some point, all these guys are going to be – Texas is going to be like, we're not paying you any money anymore. You can stay. But, like, them days is over. So I think those two dudes at wide receiver are guys that, man, you better start doing something or they just won't be back next year. Tight ends – I wouldn't say there's anybody there that I would put into that category. Offensive line, I do think it's exactly where Jaden Chapman is. It's do or die, baby. Like, either you start being good now or you're going to get passed up by a younger player and the coach is going to stop caring. So if Andre Kojo wasn't coming off the major knee injury, he would be in this group. Like, hey, man, it's time to step up. Defensive tackle, man, this one's so tricky. They're 5 deep at defensive tackle right now. Legitimately. Let's count them out. Hero Kanu, Alex January, Murad Watson. They brought in the big-ass nose tackle from Arkansas, Gefford. There's 4. Justice Terry, and whatever we think of him, as 5. I think one of the most shocking things that I saw today on the roster was that the guy that they paid half the national debt, like Derek Cooper, as an interior defensive lineman last year, James Johnson, came in at 6'3", 274. Okay. All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens. He may have a freshman year very similar to Justice Terry. And I keep saying this, if you're just going to have big defensive linemen that are kind of tweeners, and that's what Will Muschamp specializes in. He will take your 280-pound defensive lineman who's not a defensive tackle, but he's too slow and not athletic enough to quite be an edge. He's a little bit of a tweener. Think of a guy like Justice Finkley. Muschamp will get the most out of that guy. Muschamp will make the most chicken salad out of some chicken tweeners of just about any coach I don't think Will Muschamp's the best defensive coordinator I've ever seen at Texas. I will always say that I think that's Greg Robinson. But Muschamp's ability on the defensive line to make guys just work really, really good. And I think it's great for Justice Terry because he's the most expensive defensive tackle on the roster, the most expensive defensive lineman on the roster. And by the way, I'm just stopping what I'm doing because Oscar says for $9.99, I'll cut you to the front of the line with $9.99. I'll let you interrupt my thought, which, by the way, callers on the radio don't do. Money in radio sucks so bad that if somebody offered me $10 a call, I mean, 10 callers a day, it's 100. That's like an extra couple of grand a week or a month if you leverage that correctly. But no super chats back in the day. I need to send you a picture, Catch, but just a couple of weeks ago, I ended up hanging with Michael Irvin and the girl I used to see at a bar and strip club in McAllen, Texas on a Tuesday night. Sorry to divert. I would allow you to call the show with that story. By the way, last thought. Jason Sukumel and I had this friend, and I'm not going to say his name out loud, Joe. And when I say Joe's name out loud, but Joe had kind of done me dirty on something. Joe, you know what you did. Actually, you did so many dirty things when you were that age, you may not remember. And he was friends with, he's boys with Jason. Well, I think it was a Tuesday night. One night on a Tuesday, our guy Joe got a scholarship check from TCU. So he had this check. I can't even remember how much it was. He went and cashed it. And on a Tuesday night, he took Sukumel and I. Y'all don't think Sukumel likes boobs because he bans everybody on the website because of the nudity thing. And we all get it, right? Responsibility, got to be a grown-up and stuff. But we had our boy Joe take us to Sugar's on a Tuesday night, and he spent his entire scholarship check for us. It was phenomenal. It was great. It was a fun night. It was a fun night. You're in a dead strip club on a Tuesday night. I got to be quiet. My kids are home from spring break. I don't want to hear this story. They can watch it on YouTube, but I want them to hear it through the walls. Yeah. It's fun when somebody's like, I brought $5,000. Let's have a ball. Everything's on me. I don't know if that's what it was like with Michael Irvin and McAllen, but like good times. I hope you one day tell us, no, Oscar, it was not the Sugars in San Antonio. It was the Sugars in Austin. Is that place still open? By the way, Sandman, were you not paying attention? What's going on in McAllen, Texas? The strip club and Michael Irvin are going on with Oscar, no less. Money B. Joe went in with money and left broke. I don't know that for a fact. I don't think he went. I think it was TCU. I don't think he went back for that semester. I don't think that got paid for. But we had an incredible night. And if you guys ever doubt the sincerity of that story, just ask Sukumel. You can go to Orange Bloods. Just say, Catch. And by the way, I'm pretty sure Joe's on Orange Bloods. I love Joe. I miss Joe. Joe, if you're watching right now, hit me up. I got some other Joe. I almost said his last name. I got some other Joe stories in the hip pocket as well. Sandman, because he's from the Keith Richards school of I Ain't Never Gonna Die. The thing is, if you take so many drugs and do so many dangerous things and live on the line for so long, you do become a little bit like a god. Not the God, like Phil Connors from Groundhog Day. I just stole that bit. Someone said that on Orange Bloods yesterday. That was a funny line, and I literally co-opted it today. I don't think Michael Irvin's going to live to be 100. Michael Irvin will be 100, smoking Pall Malls every single day, drinking like a handle of vodka, and he'll live to be 100 every day. He'll do all of that. And the rest of us mere mortals will look at him and ask why, because he defeated the game of genetics. He took an amazing genetics and then he added steroids to them by doing so many drugs for so long. What does it even take to get Michael Irvin a buzz? And on that note, kids, have a great rest of the Monday. Thanks for hanging out with me. Inquiring minds, things that will make you think, for the rest of the day. It's a good question. At some point, does it just take all of the drugs? Did it always? That's how you're Michael Irvin, man. Allegedly. I don't know, man. McAllen, I would have been, I'd have hung out with Michael Irvin's one of my favorite athletes in the history of athletes. He is probably my favorite Dallas Cowboy of all time. Yes, I wish I had a Michael Irvin, McAllen, and here's hoping that actually happened. Allegedly. I should probably throw that. Allegedly for all of it. Just except for the parts where it was me. That stuff happened. But all of the other stuff, allegedly. But allegedly, it might take a lot for Michael Irvin now, however the hell old he is, do the math. He was like 22 and 88. That's 38 years ago. He's creeping up on 60. It's like 57, 58, something like that. Yeah, he's got 42 more good years left in him. He's going to outlast all of us, including 24-year-old ass Oscar. Guys, have a great rest of the day. It's time. This is my third show of the day. I'm going to go. I'm going to be a dad for a second and probably do some work on Orange Bloods because, like, I'm addicted to my work. But y'all